What's up, cruisers? Welcome to my review of a Royal Caribbean Mediterranean cruise on Voyager of the Seas. This was our first Mediterranean cruise, and our first cruise on a ship that wasn't an Oasis or Icon class ship. How did that go? Is going on a Mediterranean cruise in the middle of the summer a good idea? Is it too hot? Are the ports too crowded? Will we be docking next to Bezos or Zuckerberg? We'll go island hopping around the Med and check out Athens, Rhodes, Mykonos, Palermo, Valencia, and finish up in Barcelona. Along the way, we'll take in the food, the ship's amenities or lack thereof, the entertainment, excursions, and even a volcanic surprise. Let's get this party started. You're watching Soul Tropical, and let's jump on board. This is our Above Deck and Below Deck Voyager of the Seas Mediterranean Cruise Review. First things first, embarkation day. But before we get on board, we had to get to Europe, which usually involves a long overnight flight. We arrived in Europe a week before the cruise, visiting family, and thank goodness for that. The first 2 days after the flight, I was pretty much a jet-lagged zombie. Flying in the morning of your embarkation day is definitely not a good idea. Ignoring all the dangers of flight delays and missing your cruise, if you do fly in the day of or even the day before, you'll probably be writing off the first day of your cruise because you'll be so tired. We had a short, cheap flight to Athens from Budapest on Ryanair, where we Ubered to our hotel downtown, the Polis Grand Hotel. We booked 2 nights in a suite on the top floor with a massive balcony and views of the Acropolis. This was an amazing room, and I highly recommend booking it if it's available. The amenities, the views, and the location at a rate that's surprisingly reasonable. The rooftop restaurant and bar is also a can't miss. The included breakfast was not to be slept on. We did a hop-on, hop-off bus tour so we could easily get to the top sites, the Acropolis, the Olympic Stadium, the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. We walked the Old City. After 2 nights in Athens, it was time to make our way to the port, Piraeus Harbor, about a 30-minute drive from downtown Athens. We decided to save some money and take the subway. This proved to be quite easy and a good idea. Then we tried to walk to the cruise terminal. This was a horrible idea. With others getting out of the subway with their luggage and walking, we assumed it might be walkable. Unfortunately, they were going to other terminals, and Terminal B, where Voyager was docked, was quite the trek. We didn't know it at the time, but it was about a 45-minute walk. We walked about 20 minutes, got about halfway there, gave up, and hailed a cab. Once we arrived at the terminal, though, it was smooth sailing. No real lines to speak of. Quickly dropped off our luggage at some tent. Walked into another air-conditioned tent to check in. Then it was quickly through security. Minutes later, we were walking towards the gangway. Once on board, we knocked out our muster safety drill. Outside on the promenade on the 4th deck. All of this embarking in 90-degree heat made us quite thirsty, so we stopped at the tavern, the closest refreshment place on deck 4, to grab a drink and cool down. From there, we registered our 7-year-old at Adventure Ocean. Great free childcare. Adventure Ocean's broken into 3 groups, 6 months through 3-year-olds, traditional babysitting, which comes with a fee. Everything else, except after 10 p.m., is complimentary. There's what's known as Aquanauts for 3 to 5-year-olds, and then an older group from 6 to 11. For kids 12 to 17, there is a teen area called the Living Room, but it really isn't part of Adventure Ocean. While we love doing things together as a family, Adventure Ocean really makes this a vacation for everyone. Our kid loves it, and the small breaks can enable spa time for mom, going to the solarium, casino night that otherwise wouldn't be possible. Inconveniently close to Adventure Ocean is the arcade. Now that I've been on several different ships, I can say with zero hesitation that the Royal Caribbean arcades stink. From Wonder, to Icon, to Oasis, to Voyager, they are all horrible. Typically half the machines are out of order, seemingly for no reason, and the ones that do work are generally a total ripoff, starting at $2 for something that's sometimes nothing more than an iOS game like Fruit Ninja. From there, it was time to check out the rest of the ship. When booking this Mediterranean cruise, we were hesitant about booking on a non-Oasis class ship. This would be a first for us, and we really enjoyed the outdoor spaces like Central Park and Boardwalk. Would Voyager of the Seas feel like it was lacking? But in the end, we really liked the itinerary that was attached to this Voyager cruise, and we knew if we wanted to fully embrace cruising, we couldn't just keep on going on the latest megaships. So this seems like a good time to go back in time and talk about Voyager of the Seas. Voyager launched in 1999. At the time, it was a groundbreaking ship. It was the icon of the seas back in the day. It was the largest cruise ship ever built, holding 3,600 passengers on 15 decks tall, 1,020 feet long. In contrast, today, Icon holds 6,000 passengers, has 20 decks. It's only about 175 feet longer, but weighs twice as much. Till this day, Voyager is not considered a small ship. It was the first cruise ship to have a royal promenade, an internal street-like thoroughfare with stores, bars, and restaurants. Well, there's a place to eat. It was the first ship ever to have an ice skating rink, a rock climbing wall, and pink parachute pants. It has had a couple updates over the years. In 2014, the Flow Rider was added to it, and in 2019, it had a major amplification, adding water slides and upgrades throughout. But that didn't include the staterooms. Speaking of rooms, it's time for a quick room review. For the first time ever, we decided to roll the dice and book a guaranteed room. Guaranteed room is a way to save money, sometimes very little, sometimes a lot, but you give up control of where the room is located. There's a potential for a lot of pitfalls. Right below the pool deck, being at the very front of the ship, being at the very back of the ship, above a bar, a loud theater, a noisy public bathroom. But we decided to roll the dice because it was a guaranteed suite. This suite life. It could be the owner's suite, but in reality we knew it was just going to be a junior suite. We ended up with room 9280, right here, smack in the middle of the ship, 2 decks below the pool deck. When you talk about suites, you have to talk about prices. And this was priced right, I think. Having recently sailed on Icon in a hand-picked standard ocean balcony for around $4,400, this guaranteed suite was slightly cheaper at $4,300. Suite living for us would be a first. In reality, we knew it would be a junior suite, which really should be called a large ocean view balcony because it doesn't come with most of the suite benefits. There's no suite lounge access, no happy hours, no concierge service, and the list goes on. You do get priority boarding and double crown and anchor points. Oh, and this Lavazza coffee maker. Somebody call Robin Leach. In essence, when you're paying for a junior suite, you're paying for the space. And you get that in spades. But on Voyager of the Seas, you get a stateroom that looks like a Hyatt hotel room from the 1990s. With our 7-year-old son in the room, the extra space is a blessing, and there is storage for days. If you want to bring your steamer trunks, you can probably stack them up in here. The bathroom is big and has a tub, which is great for kids. Unfortunately, it has a shower curtain, but you could probably get away without using it since there's this tiny guard here and ample towels. Oh, and another sweet benefit. Instead of having an all-in-one shampoo, soap, and conditioner, they're broken out into 3 bottles. This is living. The bathroom is spacious and has plenty of storage. And then I saw this. What is this? Vomit? A dirty sink? Nope. Just an old decaying sink from 1999 that is definitely showing its age. Balcony also shows its age. It's quite old school, closer to a huge porthole than the modern open airy balconies with floor-to-ceiling views. Good luck doing any sunbathing on this balcony. Back in the room, as you might guess, it is also outdated when it comes to plugs and charging. There's no USB ports in the room. There's no plugs by the bed unless you want to crawl underneath the bed and use the one that's for CPAP machines. Fortunately, because it is a suite and larger, there's actually more than one place to plug in. But there's just that. There is only one extra place. There isn't even a place to plug in the coffee machine where it's set up. So we had to move it to the other side of the room, which is kind of bizarre. Definitely bring a Euro outlet converter so you get an extra plug. Other than the totally outdated decor, enclosed balcony, lack of outlets, and gross sink, we loved our room. Oh, and because it's technically a suite, the room was made up twice a day, so that was actually a nice touch. After we unpacked, it was time to take in the welcome aboard parade. Grab a quick bite and check out Sail Away. Other than trying to walk to the terminal, this was a fantastic embarkation day. Smooth sailing, no lines, no headaches. Ports of call. Day 2, Rhodes, or Rhodos, a Greek island in the Aegean Sea. Known for its rich history, medieval old town architecture, and beautiful beaches. We partook in 2 of those things. Our approach in many of these ports was just to get off the ship and walk around. And we did just that here. The ship docks right next to the old town. There was a beach right there at the port, but we took a pass on that. The city's architecture was beautiful, and there was plenty of places to walk around and self-learn. It is a bit touristy, so don't forget your selfie stick. There are some authentic shops where you can get some handmade goods like shoes and bags, and obviously others with the normal tourist junk that doesn't make it really feel authentic. But you can simply take a wrong turn and see that it actually is an authentic old working living city. Once we had walked our fill, saw the sights, and had some local treats, we decided to head back to the ship and relax. Day 3, Mykonos. The Island of Winds. This Greek island is known for its whitewashed architecture, secluded beaches, and iconic windmills. This is a tender port, and this was our first tender port, which means the ship never actually goes to port and you take a water taxi to get off the ship, which involves getting a timed ticket for your slot to get off the ship the day of the porting at like 6 a.m. Suite guests might have priority, but to avoid all this ticketing nonsense, we decided to book an excursion, or essentially a transfer to Elia Beach, which includes your ticket. We had a meeting time of 7:45 a.m. in the main theater. By 8 a.m. we were walking onto the water taxi. 8:15 a.m. we were on a bus.
On the way to the beach, we'll be driving from one side of the island to the other one.
And by 8:40 we were on the other side of the island, arriving at the beach. This was one of the most efficient, delay-free excursions we've ever taken. But this wouldn't be an episode of Below Deck Mediterranean without some manufactured drama. We were told on the bus that
2 sunbeds and 1 umbrella, that costs 40 euros.
When we arrived at the beach manager told us it would be 70 euros. Our tour guide told us that there might be another beach club further down the beach that would charge 40 euros, so we went there. We're getting set up. Unfortunately, where we went was a hotel that didn't rent out day beds, and since it's Greece, no one was up at 9 in the morning to tell us that. So after a bit, someone finally did wake up, come down and kick us out of these beach chairs, and we moved on to another beach club. This place was 55 euros. There were 2 front row seats, and their drink prices didn't make us vomit either. So the next time you're at Elia Beach, I can recommend Elia Playa. This beach has a beautiful, exclusive feel to it, but if paying for a beach chair and umbrella is not your style, way down here, there's actually a place where you can just lie down on a towel. But they warn you, look out for broken glass. The beach was great, the water temperature was fantastic. It was a little rocky, so I'd recommend beach shoes. It would have been nice to stay here all day, but the excursion ended at 12, so it was back on the bus and head back to the port. From there, we explored the city by foot. This was definitely the most crowded port of our cruise, but it was also my favorite. That beach experience that we just had was amazing, and walking around Mykonos just felt like you're in a different world. And just like Rhodes, just when you think it's a jam-packed touristy spot, you can take a turn off the beaten path, and all of a sudden it feels like you've gone back in time 100 years. My wife was able to get her knick-knack shopping fill, and with the last tender at 5 p.m., you have plenty of time to go at your own pace and take it all in. Day 4, our first sea day.
Is I-95.
We thought our child would love a behind-the-scenes tour of the ship. We were wrong. In totality, he enjoyed it, but walking around a lot and listening to adults talk about things he wasn't interested in shouldn't have been too much of a surprise for us. We enjoyed it, however. After you sign your life away in the morning, they take you backstage to see how the main theater operates. From there, you head to the kitchen.
Welcome to the galley.
We got to tour the kitchens, walk into ice-cold freezers and fridges.
We keep all the milks, the cheeses, the creams, the butters inside this location.
See how your laundry sheets are folded. Go to a dry cleaner to see where the rich people send out their tuxedos or their Nike t-shirts. It is truly a behind-the-scenes tour with a stop at the garbage room. Do you remember the smell of going to the dump as a child? Well, it all comes back to you pretty quickly. We got to check out the engine room, and then the creme de la creme was being able to check out the bridge of the ship and get to take a priceless picture of our son captaining the ship, pointing out the icebergs. But our sea day wouldn't be complete without a grand surprise that night. As we were steaming towards Italy,
It's right there.
we were able to witness Mount Etna erupting. This was truly a once-in-a-lifetime experience. At one point in time, our kid was obsessed with volcanoes. We almost booked a trip to Hawaii just to see a dormant volcano. This was truly a blast. Day 5, Palermo, on the Italian island of Sicily. Fans of the White Lotus could probably book a custom tour visiting the locations of the show. We didn't do that. We opted to explore the city by foot, and take a hop-on and hop-off bus, or in this case, it was a hop-on and hop-off train, which our son appreciated. If you're planning on getting on one of these trains, it should be noted that there was very little hop-on and hop-off capabilities of this tour, despite being advertised as that. You can certainly hop off anywhere you want, but being that every seat on the train is sold before it leaves, so if you go out exploring, eat lunch, and then wait for the next train, chances are you're not going to be able to get on because every seat will be filled. Another beautiful historic city. We did get to see the Opera House and the cathedral. Then it was time for a classic alfresco Italian cafe experience. A little coffee and an ice cream, what could be better? I mean, it was no erupting volcano, but it was a great way to round out our time in Palermo. Day 6, Sea Day. Day 7, Valencia, Spain. Valencia is definitely not a port that you can walk out and walk into the city. It's a large industrial port. There's a free shuttle that will take you to the port entrance. That's how big it is. From there, it's an hour-and-a-half walk to the city center. There's public transportation that's available and a €10 shuttle bus. Valencia is known for its fine art museums, the birthplace to paella, Europe's largest aquarium. Being that it was 90 degrees outside, we opted to do none of that and just went straight to the beach. We booked this through Royal. It took us to Canet den Berenguer, about 45 minutes away from the city. A spacious, wide-open, sprawling beach, unlike the secluded one in Mykonos. There's no chairs or umbrellas unless you bring them yourself. The water was crisp and refreshing, it wasn't rocky, and the waves were mild enough that we could just let our son play in the water. There are public bathrooms and a bar-type restaurant thing if in case you get hungry. Pro tip, I would bring some extra towels as a headrest if you're lying on the beach. And pack a lunch from the Cafe Promenade before you leave with beverages from your drink package for a truly frugal day. Knowing that this was the last day of our cruise, it was just a great way to spend the day relaxing and take it all in, not trying to do everything. It's now time for the food and drink portion of this review. In recent cruises, we have gravitated towards the main dining room instead of specialty dining. Our experience on Icon was great.
Perfect.
The food was delicious. The mid-seating time of 6:45 was great. Typically, there's only an early and late dining, and usually it's around 5 o'clock or after 8 o'clock. Once on board, we asked if the mid-seating time was available, and they happily switched us to that. Food in the MDR was great. I liked the variety of the appetizers, the Indian dishes. My wife loved the steaks, and our son loved the cheeseburger off the kids' menu. But being completely transparent, everything was just a smidge off from what we had on Icon a few months earlier. Check out this dish. Looks good, right? But the same dish on Icon just looks that much better. And while our wait staff was totally adequate, they were also just a notch below our icon waiters. On all our cruises, the main dining room staff knows of my wife's gluten allergy. And on Icon, they brought my wife gluten-free bread each night every time we sat down. On Voyager, she had to ask for it each night. Not a deal breaker, but it's just the little things that made the difference. We enjoyed our main dining room experience. We like the speed and efficiency that it brings, which is a great benefit when you have kids. It's not the 2-hour elegant dining experience. Speaking of which, we did book one specialty dining for a date night at Shops. We both had delicious ribeye steaks, and I had a delectable cheesecake dessert. On the opposite spectrum from specialty dining is the buffet, which can't really be avoided because of the complete lack of other food options on this ship. Never a big fan of the buffet because they tend to be chaotic, and this buffet certainly didn't disappoint. The buffet on Voyager is huge. This might be one of the largest buffets I've ever seen, certainly bigger than Oasis. We never had a problem finding a seat, and I was a huge fan of the custom omelet station with a pager service that worked out quite well. Just go there first after you pick your table, get your sides, a coffee, and a juice. And it's ready.
Thank you.
For lunch and the odd dinner, I was always able to find something thoroughly enjoyable. I would suggest, again, the Indian is always great. It's now time for the food allergy portion of this review. As you've heard, my wife suffers from celiac disease and is also lactose intolerant. Oh, the joy. Royal Caribbean is really first class when it comes to dealing with food allergies. If you're gluten-free, you have nothing to worry about dining on a cruise. Once you notify your head waiter, he'll make sure you know the next night's menu and work with you for the best gluten-free option for the main course and dessert. At the Promenade Cafe, they can make you sandwiches with gluten-free bread, and the pizza area, which is definitely not Sorrento's, can make a gluten-free pizza. And in my wife's case, they even made a gluten-free, dairy-free pizza. One bite, everybody knows the rules. 2.0. Yep, that was disgusting. It was nowhere nearly as good as this culinary disaster on Icon of the Seas, but she was happy it was available. Speaking of the normal pizza, it was not in the same class as the Sorrento's pizza on other ships either. It is now time for the entertainment portion of this review. The entertainment on this ship? Well, how do I say this? Let's just say you're not booking this cruise for the entertainment. Star of the show is definitely the ice show. Ice Spectacular Ice Odyssey. It's some Odyssey, Greek poem-inspired, multi-themed journey through different cultures and time. And the ice skater's talent can't be denied, but the show's production value was just a little bit below what we've seen on Wonder and Icon. There's plenty of other entertainment to take in on the ship. Throughout the week, we've had some quality time in the main theater.
I can't do this trick!
J. Rawlings' comedy juggling routine was probably the best. There was a Frankie Valli tribute band for fans of the popular band from the 60s. Speaking of back in time, good seats are still available. And then there was this, more of a vaudeville type show on our final night. This was combined and not to be outdone with the Royal Caribbean singers and dancers serving up this banger of a song and dance routine. Good luck getting this song out of your head. Break it down. Now it's time for ship notes. Normally, on the second formal night on a 7-day cruise, it is also known as lobster night. Apparently that is not a thing on European cruises, so there is no lobster for you unless you want to pay for it. While there are a ton of bars on this ship, at least 11 by my count. The number of bars feels about the same compared to newer ships. What doesn't feel about the same is the number of places to eat. Check this out and look at the number of complimentary places to eat on Icon. Well, that's not a fair fight. Let's look at the number of complimentary places to eat on Wonder. And now here is Voyager. That's it. 3. There's also no playmakers. And while the tavern may look like playmakers, you can't order a burger or an onion tower. More importantly, there's no wings. Outside of normal mealtime, there is no place to eat other than Cafe Promenade. They do serve pizza most of the time, but depending on what time you go to Cafe Promenade, they might not have anything you're looking for. Several times at night after the buffet was closed, I was just looking to grab a sandwich with some meat in it, and there was nothing available. You can't eat pizza at night 7 days in a row. Voyager of the Seas is a strange mix of elegant and up-to-date and old and out of touch. The dining room and parts of the pool deck look like a brand new ship. Then the solarium looks like it's from the 80s. And then what's this? Yikes. All around the ship, there is ancient Greek decor, which is pretty cool, being that we embarked in Athens. But what if we were embarking from Galveston, Texas? Voyager is a unique ship. It has a chapel on the 15th floor. It's not really used much, but if you wanted to get married on a cruise ship, maybe this is where you want to get married. Voyager is also home to one of the coolest men's bathrooms I've ever seen. Ocean view urinals. If you like having an ocean view as you go to the bathroom, hit that thumbs up button below. Another unique feature of this class of ships is passengers are allowed to walk onto the helipad and check out some great views. From there, you can stand at the very front of the ship at the bow and recite your favorite movie lines. But it wouldn't be ship notes without some broader Royal Caribbean news. Breaking news, Pina Colada Gate. At some point in the past year or so, Royal Caribbean changed their beverage mixer supplier. While this doesn't sound like a big deal, the taste of the pina coladas on our last few cruises has gotten much worse, thanks to this new mixer. Honestly, the change in mixer has made my wife stop wanting to get the drink package. The mix Royal used to use in their pina coladas was this Island Oasis mixer, and to put it simply, it has a natural coconut milk taste. My wife first noticed the change to this new Finest Call mixer on our Icon cruise, and we hoped it was a one-off. Unfortunately, we've been on 2 other Royal Caribbean cruises since, and all of them have used this new Finest Call mixer that tastes synthetic. We weren't the only people to notice. A quick look online confirms many other people are upset with this change. Did you notice? Let me know in the comments below. In conclusion, did we like it? Would we book a Mediterranean cruise again? Definitely, yes. Being able to travel to Mykonos, Rhodes, and then Italy and Spain all in 1 week was a real treat. Is it too hot to visit the Mediterranean in the summer? No, I don't think so. There was always a beach or a pool nearby. Were the stops too overcrowded to visit? No. Mykonos was really the most crowded, but it wasn't that bad once you got past a few different choke points near the port. Were our trepidations about booking on an older ship valid? Yes and no. Our concerns about the loss of Central Park and the boardwalk were not really valid. That said, we definitely think twice about booking on a Voyager-class ship. Everybody likes to stay in a new hotel room, and the same thing applies on a ship. In addition to that, the lack of food options after the buffet closes at night was a real annoyance. In retrospect, I probably could have ordered room service, but when your kid's asleep in the room service isn't a very good idea. Thanks for watching. I hope you got something out of this. If you did, please do me a favor and hit that thumbs up button. If you enjoy cruising or family travel related content, I encourage you to subscribe to this channel, Soul Tropical. It costs nothing to you but helps grow the channel. If you're thinking about booking a Mediterranean cruise and taking that dreaded overnight flight, watch this video here for the cheapest business class flight to Europe.
Ladies and gentlemen, have it one more time for your Royal Caribbean singers and dancers.
Thanks again for watching. Until we meet again.